Zion.
So I'll start with Vav Dalad.
Oh, I put no, wait, let me put this. Vav Daled.
Yeah.
I might put it in one place. Paste, paste. Oh, there we go. Uh, okay. If a woman said, "Bring me my get," she may not eat truma until she reaches her hand. The get reaches her hand.
She
If
may
she
eat
said,
truma. She may eat truma until it reaches her hand. Yeah.
she may eat truma until the get reaches her hand. Receive my get for me, she says, forbidden to eat truma immediately. If she said, receive my get for me in such and such a place, she may eat truma until the get reaches that place. If Eliezer prohibits it immediately. If one says, write a get and give it to my wife, divorce her, or write a letter and give it to her, or they may write and give it, and if she says, release her, provide for her, do it as customary, or do for her as proper, he did not say anything. Originally, they said if one goes out and chains and says, write, I get for my wife, they write and give it. The latest said, also one who says out to sea and one who leaves in a caravan. Reb Shimon Shiori says, also one who is endangered. If one was thrown into a pit and he said that whoever hears his voice should write a get for his wife, that shall write and give it. If a healthy man says, write a get for my wife, he desired to taunt her, he happened that a wealthy man said, write a get for my wife, that he went up to the top of the roof and he fell and died. When Shimon ben Gamliel said, the sages said that if he fell on his own, it is a get. If the wind pushed him, it is not a get.
Okay. Zayin. Amar Lishnaim. So a man says in front of two people, Tnu get leishti. So give my wife a get. Okay. So how do we interpret his words? Because he didn't say anything about the writing. Okay. So he's got. So we're going. I'll just jump ahead because the halacha is going to be the same for the next case. But it says Hare elu yichtavu v'yitnu. So obviously he means for them to write the get as well. Only them. They can't delegate it to anyone else. The husband has just given words to them, and all that they can do with the words is fulfill his will. They cannot then delegate the job to somebody else because he spoke to them. Okay. Same thing goes if he said to three people. Now, three people is different from two people because three people constitute a beis din. But
Right.
what has he done? What does he say to the three people? Kisvu get utnula ishti. He says to them, write a get and give it to my wife. So once he's given them the specific instruction that you guys must write the get, which means one of them is going to have to write the get and two of them are going to witness it and give it to the wife. These people specifically have to write it and hand it over. However, if he says Amar l'shlosha tnu get leishti, if he says to three people, give a get to my wife, then what has he done? Then effectively he's appointed a beis din to take care of the divorce of his wife. So they can now delegate the job because they're beis din. They say, okay, let's get a nice sofer and we'll get other witnesses, and they're just taking charge of the whole process. Beis din. He has appointed them as a beis din. That says Rabbi Meir. Okay, v'zo halacha he'ela Rabbi Chanina ish onomi beis ha'asurin. So this happened. Rabbi Chanina from Ono said this halacha from a prison. Now this appears to have been at a time of persecution when they were literally sitting in prison, and the guy's sitting there and in prison, and he says, "Listen, give my wife a divorce. I'm sitting here in jail. I don't know how long they're going to keep me here, so let her be free at least." And he appointed this basically appointed a beis din to take care of this. Okay. He says, well, so what is the halacha that he said? This is the Masorah that I have received, that if somebody says to three people to get he repeats the same halacha, but says that this is actually a Masorah that he has. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yossi Numeini l'shaliach. Af anu mekubalin she'afilu amar lebeis din hagadol shebirushalayim. So Rabbi Yossi says, I've got another Masorah over here. even if a person says to the Beis Din HaGadol in Yerushalayim, right, a big Beis Din of whatever, 70 people, 71, sorry, 71 people, okay, and he says, Tenu get ishti, it says, you must give a get to my wife, she yilmadu v'yichtavu v'yitnu. So now he gives a contrary position, and he says that these people themselves need to write it. He's taking the contrary position that actually they don't have the ability to delegate the job. Amar la Saras, if a person says to 10 people, so there's a group of 10, Kisvu get li ishti. He says to them, write the get for my wife. He says to 10 people. Echad kosev ushnayim chosmin. Okay, so any one of them can write it. Obviously, you can't have more than one person writing it. Ushnaim chosmim, then and you only need two people to sign on it. So if he just says write the get for my wife, any two of them can do it. However, if he says kulchem kisvu, all of you, please write the get for my wife. So now he's adding an extra stipulation. He says, I know that normally you need two witnesses, but if he's saying all of you, I want all of you on this get, then he's saying echad koseva kulam chosmim. One of them writes, but every one of them has to sign on the get because this is an extra stipulation that he's saying he wants all of these witnesses down there. Okay, lefichach im meis echad mehem harei get batel. So if one of them dies before this can be completed, then even though you've got 9 witnesses on the get, it's still batel because it did not conform to his instructions. Okay, and the shlichus was basically invalidated. Okay, Perek Zayin. Misha achaza kordiakos. Okay, kordiakos is some kind of a disease which we don't know what specifically it means, but the bottom line of kordiakos is that it makes a person lose his faculties. So he's no longer do you want to just tilt your screen up a little bit so I can see your face because I'm just seeing your forehead at the moment. Okay, that's better. So basically it's like a person has lost their faculties. He becomes a shote while he is affected by this disease. Okay, so if this disease has hit him, if he says kisvu get ishti lo amar klum, his words are nothing. We don't take him seriously because he's not of sound mind. Same thing goes in the other direction. If he said Amru kisvu get ishti, if he said write the get for my wife, and then he became ill with this, and he says no, don't do it. Anything that he says while he's affected by this disease is inadmissible. We just ignore it as if he said nothing. What happens if a person loses his faculty of speech? And now he's in this situation where he's let's say he is on his deathbed, he's unable to speak. And his wife is in a situation of being about to fall for Yibum, and we just don't want her to fall into this situation because whatever issues with his brother, we don't want her to fall for Yibum. So they suggest to him, listen, before you die, do you want us to should he write a get for your wife? This is what they say to him. Should we write a get for your wife? And he nods his head. Okay, so now a nod of the head, we're not going to treat as a yes or a no because maybe we don't know what his way of signing is. So let's just make sure that we're talking the same language. We check him 3 times, both for a yes and for a no, and we mix it up. So we say to him, is the sky blue? And he makes a nodding gesture, and we say, is the floor made of jelly? And he makes a no gesture. So we got to test him 3 times on each yes and no, and we got to mix it up so he's not just like randomly moving his head around and whatever. So if he answers on yes and on no, hooray, then this is good enough. Then we understand that his sign language is consistent, and we write the get for him for his wife. Mishna base. Amru lo nichtov get leishtecha. So if somebody is dying and we want to say, look, we suggest to him that maybe you should write a get. Amru lehem ksovu. Right. He says then, right. Amru sofer v'kasav. So we say to they said to the sofer, write it, and the Adim, and they signed on it. Afal pi shikasavuhu v'chasamu v'nasanuhu lo v'chazer v'nasanu la hareze get batel ad she yomar lesofer kasov v'la'edim chasomu. So what we're saying over here is that the get has to be written and signed with the command of the husband. So even if he says to three, so if they, so basically what's happened is what did they do wrong? Is Amru Sofer. These people went and delegated to a sofer to write it, and to other adim, and or either, okay, or even if they did only one of these things, if they delegated, it's invalid, even though they gave it and signed it, and the husband took this and said and handed it to his wife, because he said to them, "You must do it." The delegation makes the whole thing invalid. And ad sheyomru lasofer, ad sheyomar lasofer kasov, he has to specifically tell the sofer to write it, and to the adim, and to the adim that they must sign on it. Okay, so that is that for today. Let's go back to Dalit.
If one sent a get to his wife and encountered the agent or sent an agent after him, and he said to him, "The get that I gave you is void, it is void." If he reached his wife first or sent an agent to her and he said to her, "The get that I sent you is void, it is void." If the above occurred after she received the get, he can no longer nullify it. Originally, he would convene a court elsewhere and nullify it. Rabbi Gamliel the elder decreed that they should not do this for the sake of the general good. Originally, he would change his name and her name, and change his town and the name of her town. But Rabbi Gamliel the elder decreed that he write the man so and so and any name he has, the woman so and so and any name she has, for the sake of the general good. A widow is not paid from the property of the orphans except with an oath. They cease from opposing an oath upon her. The Rabbi Gamliel the elder decreed that they should make a neder prohibiting whatever the orphans wish and collect her ketubah. The witness to sign on a get for the sake of the general good. Hillel decreed, and the pros bill for the sake of the general good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And Nazir. Nazir. Okay. Test Dalit. Any doubt concerning afflictions of Taharas at the outset of Tahar, as long as it has not been confirmed to be Tameh, once it has been confirmed to be Tameh, the doubt is ruled to be Tameh. A Zav is checked in 7 ways as long as it has not been confirmed to be Tameh from Ziva, concerning food, drink, carrying a load, jumping, illness, sight, and thought. Once he has been confirmed to be Tameh from Ziva, we do not examine him. His mishap or doubts because of his seminal charge is Tameh, since the matter is indicated. If someone struck his fellow and they assessed that he would die, but his condition improved from what it had done, after that he worsened and he died, the attacker is liable, but from the chemist says he is exempt, for the matter is indicated. Shmuel was a Nazir according to the opinion of Reb Nahor, as is stated, and no more shall come upon his head. Okay. Upon his head. It is stated with reference to Shimshon Mora, and it's stated with reference to Shmuel Mora, that Mora said in connection with Shimshon, who refers to a Nazir. The two Mora, and so two Mora said in connection with Shmuel, as opposed to a Nazir. Reb Yossi does not mean pure of flesh and blood. Neori said to him, "Does it not already state?" Shmuel said, "How can I go? If Saul heals, he will kill me," which shows that he indeed had a problem of fear of flesh and blood. Okay.
Adjon Allah, Maseches Nazir. Okay, and we need one from Sota. Have you got Sota out?
No, I didn't know where we were. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, no worries. I'll quickly do this one. Hamakane leishto, if somebody warns his wife, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Makane la al pishnaim, he has to warn her by 2 witnesses, or mashke al pi eid echad, and he has to make her drink. To make her drink, you only need 1 witness, or al pi atzmo, or even if he himself is
Right.
allowed to then say that she needs to drink. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Mekanila al Pishnaim Umashke al Pishnaim. Rabbi Yeshua says no, you need two witnesses for both the warning and for the seclusion. Okay, that's it for Yevamos.
Vamos. If she said, this is 7, Daled Vav Zion. If she said, my husband died and then my father-in-law died, she may remarry and collect her ketubah, but her mother-in-law is forbidden. If she was a Yisrael's daughter married to a Kohen, she made a truma. These are the words of Reb Tarfon. Rebbe Akiva says this is not the way to deliver her from sin. Rather, let her be forbidden from marrying and forbidden from eating truma. If someone betrothed one of 5 women but does not know which one he has betrothed, and each one says, I am the one he betrothed, he should give them a bill of divorce. Each one leave the ketubah payment between them and withdraw. These are the words of Reb Tarfon. Rabbi Akiva says this is not the way to deliver him from sin. Rather, let him give a bill of divorce and a ketubah payment to each one. If someone stole from one of the 5 people but did not know which one he stole, and each one says he stole from me, he should leave the stolen amount between them and withdraw. These are the words of Reb Tarfon. Rabbi Akiva says this is not the way to deliver him from sin. Rather, let him pay the stolen amount to each one. If a woman went overseas with her husband and son, and she came and said, my husband died and then my son died, she is believed. She said, my son died and then my husband died, she is not believed. However, we consider a statement, and she must therefore perform chalitza, but not ibum. Okay. Shabbos.
I think, did you finish that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, sorry, which Mishnah did you just finish?
Oh, I finished says Vav Chet.
Yeah, we got to do tests as well. Yeah.
If a woman said I was granted a son overseas and she added my son died and then my husband died, she's believed. But if she said my husband died and then my son died, she is not believed. However, she must consider a statement and she must therefore perform chalitza, but not ibum.
Okay.
Okay. And Shabbos. Shabbos, we have Test Vav Aleph. These are the nuts for which we are liable. The camel driver is not, and the sailor is not. And just as one is liable for tying them, so too one is liable for untying them. Primeus says any knot which one can untie with one hand, we are not liable for. There are knots for which we are not liable, as we are for the camel driver's knot and the sailor's knot. A woman may tie the opening of her chemise, strings of her hair, net, or a girdle, straps of shoe, or a sandal, leather canteens of wine or oil, or a pot of meat. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says we may tie a rope from an animal in order that it not go out. We may tie a pail with a belt, but not with a rope with what Rabbi Yehuda permits. Rabbi Yehuda said a general rule: any knot which is not permanent, we are not liable for. We may fold garments even 4 or 5 times. We may make the beds on the night of the Shabbos for the Sabbath, but not on the night of the Sabbath for the night after the Sabbath. Rabbi Ishmael says we may fold garments and make beds on Yom Kippur for the Sabbath, and fats on the Sabbath sacrifices may be offered on Yom Kippur. And Akiva says neither those of the Sabbath may be offered on Yom Kippur, nor may those of Yom Kippur be offered on Shabbos. Okay. And we went to Taharos. I have Vav Hay. If one enters an area of open fields during the rainy season and there is a tumor in a certain field, and he said, I went to the area, but I do not know whether I entered that field or not. If Eleazar removes in Tahoe, but the sages say he's Tameh. And uncertainty for tumor is in a private man, that the domain is deemed Tameh until he says, I did not touch the Tameh object. Now, uncertainty of tumor in a public domain is deemed Tahor until he says, I touched the Tameh object, which is a public domain. The paths of Beth Kegel and other paths similar to them are a private domain in regard to the laws of Shabbos, but not a public domain in regard to the laws of Tumah. Said Reb Eliezer, the paths of Beth Kegel were not mentioned in the category other than to teach that there are private domain for this Sabbath laws and for the Tumah laws. Paths that open to pits, touches, vaults, and wine or vats are private domain for the laws of the Sabbath, for the public domain, the laws of Tumah. An area of open fields during the summer season is a private domain in regard to the laws of Sabbath and to a public domain with regard to the laws of Tumah, whereas during the rainy season is a private domain with regard to both this and that. Okay. Last we have Nachos. Olive base. No, cat base. We did not bring either from a fertilized field or an irrigated field or from a field of trees, but if one bought, it is valid. How does one do it? He plows it the first year. In the second year, he plants it 70 days prior to the Passover, and when it produces fine flour in abundance, how does one check it? The thresher adheres his hand to it. If dust comes up with it, it is unfit, and he sifts it. If it becomes worthy, it is wormy, it's unfit. The Koah is a prepared area for the oil. Abishol says second to it is Regev, beyond the Jordan. All lands are valid, but they would bring from these. We did not bring from a fertilized field or from an irrigated field or from those trees beyond which vegetation grew. But if one brought, it is valid. We do not bring from unripe olives, and if one did, it is invalid. We did not bring from olive berries which were soaked in water, nor from preserved, nor from the stewed. If one did, it is invalid. These are three categories of olives, one with each with three oils. The first olive he picks is from the top of the olive tree and pounds it and places it in the basket. The Yehuda says around the basket, this is the first. Presses with the beam. Yehuda says with stones, this is the second. He again grinds and presses them. This is the third. The first for the menorah and the rest is for the mincha offerings. The second olive he picks from the rooftop and pounds and pieces it in the basket. The Yehuda says around the basket there's the first. Is first, it presses with a beam. Remember, it says with stones. This is the second, and again grinds and presses them to the third. The first is for Nora. The second rest is for the mincha offering. Third olive he packs inside the house until it decays, and then he takes it up and dries it to top of the roof, and pays, pounds, and places it into the basket. Rabbi Yehuda says around the basket, this is the first. He presses with the beam. Rabbi Yehuda says with stones, this is the second. He again grinds and presses them. This is the third. The first is for the menorah. The rest for the mincha offering. We're starting a new Masechta next week.
Menachos.
I don't know, not but
No.
we finished
Unless you have
Nazir.
the second volume of Menachos, maybe.
No, I meant Nazir. We finished Nazir. So,
Oh yeah, Sota. That's Sota. We started Sota today.
thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Great. Thank you.